Hey you guys, it's Aurora from Root Awakening Uniquely Yours. I haven't been on for a while. I just needed to decompress and do me for a bit. But as always, when Spirit speaks or wants me to leave a message, I go ahead and do it. So here we go. I wanted to talk about grieving or grief today. Short and brief. I'm not going to go into the whole lecture of it all. About grieving and the misconception of it. A lot of people think that grieving or grief is all about losing a loved one. And a lot of people get stuck on that. Well, I'm here to break that myth. Okay? Grieving is not just about losing or someone passing away or anything. The true essence of grieving or grief is about a loss or a change. Really think about that. Grieving or grief has to do with a loss or change. And it's not just about death. So think about everything that we do. We go through a transition of loss. We go of change day in and day out. And that's what grieving is all about. And that's why a lot of people have a hard time letting go or forgiving. It's because of that misconception of grief or grieving. Okay, but before we get through that, through the whole thing, let me tell you about the stages of grief or grieving. Okay, the way I remember is thinking of it from Dada. There's the denial, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, and the acceptance. The first misconception about grieving or grief is that there's a certain protocol or there's a certain stage, and there isn't. Everybody goes through a grieving process or a grief process, all different. And we don't always have to go through the whole process of denial, anger, bargaining, or step 1, step 2, or anything like that. We will bounce back and forth on it. Some will go through some denial, and some maybe won't. Some will go straight to anger. Maybe won't even go through bargaining or whatever it is. So there is no right way or wrong way to grieve. And grieve is just loss of something. Think about your life, of how many times there's been a change or there's been a loss, physically, mentally, emotionally, that you have to go through. So for example, when you lose an item, you lose a phone or you lose something of value or anything like that, you go through a grieving process. When you change a job, you go through a grieving process. When you change location or you move from one place to another, that's a grieving process. You even go through a grieving process of breaking up with someone or maybe a friend or someone moving away. That's a grieving process. So we're constantly always going through a grieving process. So it's not just loss of or someone dying. Okay, so let's squash that. Okay, once you understand that, and you understand that there's no right or wrong or a time limit of grieving, it releases that burden of expectation. Because one of the things I always hear, am I grieving the right way? Or am I doing it right? Or there must be something wrong because I'm not crying. And you don't have to cry. Some people don't grieve for a whole life, or maybe years. The misconception of you have to get over a loss or something within a year. It's a bunch of BS as well. Okay? So there's no timeline. Okay? There is no structure. And we will always go through a grieving process. You might feel good today, and then tomorrow something hits you. A song or something, a situation that can trigger you. And you go straight back to that whole grieving process. Okay? Because our mind's always having memories. And that can trigger a grieving process. Okay? So, the other thing is what people say. Okay? You don't have to be strong when you're going through a loss. Okay? Actually, when you think about you have to be strong or try to be strong for someone, you heard that, I've heard it myself, is you got to be strong for your family, or you got to be strong for somebody, or be strong for yourself. In actual reality, when you think about it that way, and I have to be strong, you're not going through the process of healing, and you're actually in the denial process because you're not being true to yourself. So that you don't have to be strong. Throw that shit away. If today you're feeling vulnerable, you're feeling sad, that's okay. Whatever it is that you're feeling when you're going through the loss, the grieving process, that's okay. You don't have to be strong for anyone at all. You don't have to be strong for you. If today you're feeling vulnerable, be it. Today you're feeling sad, be it. And tomorrow you feel good again, that's just your process. Is your own individual sacred process. All right? So one of the things is you're okay at feeling whatever you have to feel. You want to be angry. You want to cry. This whole thing of suck it up, buttercup, throw that shit away. Okay? Sometimes you want to laugh because it triggers a memory. If you want to cry. If you want to be angry. If you want to be sad. If you want to be happy because you thought of a good moment, do that. All right? That way you're not going through a denial process. When you start to think that you got to toughen up and you should suppress your feeling, that's not healing. And it's going to take you longer to go through the process. All right? So just be one with your emotion. No matter what it is, just be one with it. Again, there's no timeline. None at all. All right? And this whole bullshit of time heals everything. No, time conceals everything. Again, time does not heal everything. It just conceals. You just go through the process of learning to manage your emotion. One of the things is you got to feel to heal. And as you continue to embrace the feeling, you continue to embrace the whole feeling of grief, okay, it becomes more manageable in days. Because you know what? It can hit you 1 year from now, 5 years from now. It can trigger a memory and you're straight back to one. Okay? So that's what grieving is. You don't have to be strong for anyone. You don't have to be strong for you. You can cry whatever you want. You can feel whatever you want. There isn't a timeline. Okay? It's not a timeline. And grief or grieving, all it is that you're going through a loss. And we're always going to keep doing that from the moment we're here to the day we die. We're going to go through life experience where there's going to be changes. There's going to be loss. Okay? And we're going to continue to fluctuate between that. Loss, changes in our life. It could be materialistic stuff. It can be people. It can be relationship. It can be a location. So next time you're going through any of those stuff, realize that you're grieving. And the only way that you're going to be okay with it is to go through the process. And there is no cookie cutter grieving process when you're going through a loss or a change. Okay, none at all. Whatever it is that when you're going through a grieving process, whatever it is that you're feeling, okay, that is you. Honor that. Be in the essence of it. Okay, so again, grieving, okay, it's not a one-stop shop. It's not a cookie cutter aspect of it. Okay? And it's not just death. Grieving is just a sense of loss of something. And there's no timeline. And there's no right way to feel when you're going through the grieving process. The only thing I think is that you will be vulnerable. But vulnerable creates courage and it creates strength. And that's what the grieving process is about. It's constant transition in our life that is different from our normal. So, short and brief, that's what grieving is. So, and the reason I'm really talking about it, when I reflect on it this past 2 years and so with COVID and everything, our life has changed and we went through so many changes and we've lost so many things, from jobs to friends to families to our way of normal, through our routine. All that just quickly just changed. And a lot of us hasn't went through the grieving process. So that's why I think there's so much anger and confusion right now, because humanity is not allowing themselves to grieve, to allow them to honor all of these changes that's been happening. And once we start to honor that and realize how much change we've had and how much our life has shifted, we're going to start to learn to not carry that burden. And we're going to start to ease this energy, because we're going to start to feel, and that's the only way we're going to heal. So again, short and brief, grieving. No right or wrong way. Okay, just honor it and be one with it. Alright, you guys, this is Aurora saying goodbye. Peace out.
You ready?
It doesn't have to be perfect.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, one more thing. Just to make it look like if you were a pro.
I have props.
Yeah.
This channel being used.